Haley is, whether she's with me or not, she's with me every day. And like, she has been my main like source of drive and motivation.
I don't got nothing against Eminem. I got nothing against Eminem. Eminem can rap, but I care about us more. I don't want to go through, I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want, for 22 years, every time I do an interview, they ask me about Eminem.
Then he starts doing a press run, basically, about Haley. I'm like, what the f? Yo, my man better chill.
In hip-hop, it's pretty much common sense that you don't mention Eminem's daughter because doing that is like signing up for career suicide. But a few rappers have been bold or just plain dumb to disrespect the daughter of the rap god himself, and of course ended up facing the heat.
My daughter came into the industry figuring that, hey, I gotta be cool with Eminem because everybody's against my dad.
Let's get into it. First up is Machine Gun Kelly. Most fans trace the beef between him and Eminem back to 2012, when MGK tweeted about M's daughter Haley, calling her hot as F, though he added it was in the most respectful way possible, and even called Eminem king in the same breath. The problem was Haley was only 16 at the time, and MGK was around 21. At first it seemed like M just let it slide, but behind the scenes he was apparently fuming. By 2015, MGK claimed he'd been blackballed from major platforms, including being banned from Eminem's Shade 45 radio station. In an interview with Hot 97, MGK later opened up about how the tweet affected his career. He explained that he was about 21 at the time and didn't mean any harm, but the industry didn't see it that way. He claimed that because of that one tweet, some people blackballed him. His music stopped getting played in certain places, and some wouldn't even review his work.
I said she's beautiful, but all respect due, Eminem is king.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Certain places you won't even hear Machine Gun Kelly on. Oh, certain things won't even happen.
Fast forward, and MGK decided to take more shots, this time more subtle, on Tech Nine's track No Reason. Fans were quick to point out that one of MGK's verses seemed to be aimed straight at Eminem, flipping the title of M's track Rap God into a diss. I pop cherries and pop stars, you popsicles is not hard popped in on the top charts out the cop car. To remind y'all you just rap, you're not God. And I don't care who got bars.
Pickles is not hard, popped in on the top charts out the cop car, so remind y'all you just rap, you're not God.
Then M finally snapped. After keeping quiet for 6 long years, he dropped Kamikaze and used the track Not Alike to fire back hard. He didn't bother with subliminals, he went straight at MGK. But next time you don't gotta use Tech N9 knee if you wanna come at me with a submachine gun. And I'm talking to you, but you already know who the F you are, Kelly. I don't use sublims, and sure as F don't sneak diss. Tekken 9NA tried to distance himself from the situation, claiming he didn't know MGK was dissing M on his song, but nobody really bought that. In response, MGK dropped Rap Devil, a full-blown diss aimed straight at Eminem. He mocked M for taking so long to respond and for being out of touch, saying, "Took you 6 years and a surprise album just to come with a diss." But then, he made an even bigger mistake. He brought up Haley again. Tough talk from a rapper paying millions for security a year. I think my dad's gone crazy. Yeah, Haley, you right. Dad's always mad, cooped up in the studio yelling at the mic. You're sober and bored, huh? About to be 46 years old, dog.
I think my dad's gone crazy. Yeah, Haley, you right. Dad's always mad, cooped up in the studio yelling at the mic.
At that point, MGK went from pushing buttons to completely crossing the line again, and fans knew the clapback was only going to get nastier from there. Eminem later sat down with Sway Calloway for an interview where he opened up about how the whole situation with MGK started. He explained that he was randomly watching videos online when he stumbled on a clip of MGK talking about his daughter Haley. That moment triggered everything for M, who was shocked and irritated that MGK was doing interviews and basically using Haley's name to promote himself.
Then he starts doing a press run, basically, about Haley. I'm like, what the Yo, my man better chill.
But according to Eminem, the real reason he dissed MGK was even more petty. It wasn't just about the tweet, it was because MGK claimed Eminem had banned him from Shade 45 and was actively trying to sabotage his career. M made it clear that he didn't care enough about MGK to be plotting against him and flat out said MGK wasn't even worth the conversation when it came to top-tier rappers.
Like I'm trying to hinder his career, so I don't give a f about your career. You think I actually think about you? You know how many rappers that are better than you?
Then came Kill Shot, a brutal diss track aimed directly at MGK. It was packed with savage bars, including the now infamous line mocking MGK's name and appearance. Here's that autograph for your daughter. I wrote it on a starter cap. Stand, son, listen, man, dad isn't mad, but how you gonna name yourself after a damn gun and have a man bun? A couple of years later, in 2020, Eminem wasn't quite done. He surprise dropped Music to Be Murdered By, and on the track Unaccommodating, he took another shot at MGK, this time framing the entire beef as something he had already moved past. But when they ask me, is the war finished with MGK? Of course it is. I cleansed him of his mortal sins. I'm God and the Lord forgives even the devil worshippers. By then, MGK had shifted his music style completely, ditching rap for a pop-punk sound. And while it may not have been the official reason, a lot of fans couldn't help but joke that Eminem had dissed MGK straight out of hip-hop. Another rapper who learned the hard way that bringing up Eminem's daughter was career was Ja Rule. And to this day, many still believe that taking shots at Haley might have been the nail in the coffin for Ja's rap career. Now, Ja Rule and Eminem never had a personal issue at first. The real tension started with Ja's long-standing beef with 50 Cent. 50 and Ja had serious street problems, and when Eminem decided to sign 50 to Shady Records, Ja felt like M picked a side. That's when Ja decided he wasn't just going to beef with 50, he was coming for the whole Shady Aftermath camp. But instead of keeping it lyrical or sticking to shots at M himself, Ja crossed a major line. He dissed Haley. In one of his songs, he rapped, M, you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known S, so what's Haley gonna be when she grows up?
M, you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known so what's Haley gonna be when she grows up?
That line was like lighting a fuse. Eminem, who had always been extremely protective of his daughter, was furious. So M rounded up the Shady family and came back swinging with a savage track titled Haley's Revenge. The song started off with a clip of young Haley being asked what she wanted to be when she grows up, to which she replied, I don't know, but I don't want to grow up to be like Ja Rule's little dirty kids. From there, it was full-blown lyrical war. Eminem didn't hold back, throwing in lines like, bring daddy's Oscar, we're gonna shove it up Ja Rule's ass. He also took direct shots at Ja for trying to mimic Tupac's legacy, something Ja had constantly been accused of during his career. M rapped, you on Pax D, you a replica guy. If he was still alive, you would never get by. All you do is cry. B, keep it real. Life is more than imitating and eating pills. But that wasn't even the end of it. Eminem and 50 Cent then teamed up on a diss track called Hail Mary, flipping the title of one of Pac's most iconic songs and turning it into a weapon against Ja. The message was clear, Ja wasn't Pac, and never would be. One of the hardest hitting lines said it all. Come get me, Mothaf, if you want Shady. If Pac was still here now, he would never ride with Ja. The Shady camp made sure Ja Rule got buried under an avalanche of bars, and the impact was clear. Ja's once glowing career started to dim, especially as 50 Cent exploded in popularity and basically took over the early 2000s. By 2004, Eminem addressed the entire feud in a more reflective way on the song Like Toy Soldiers. He admitted he tried to squash the beef but couldn't once Ja brought Haley into it. That Ja-ish, I tried to squash it. It was too late to stop it. There's a certain line you just don't cross, and he crossed it. I heard him say Haley's name on a song, and I just lost it. Even though M said he was done with the drama, the damage had already been done. And not to M. Ja Rule's momentum was never quite the same again. He went from dominating the charts to struggling to stay relevant in a rap game now ruled by 50 and the G-Unit/Shady/Aftermath machine. Still, Eminem couldn't help but get one last shot in years later. On his 2018 Kamikaze album, he fired off a stray bullet in Ja's direction just to remind people, I hear you talking-ish. I'm just too big to respond to it. God forbid I forget. Go and jump out the window. Somebody better child-proof it. Cause if I lose it, we can rewind to some old Ja Rule-ish, and I can remind mother I do-ish. And then there's Benzino, another rapper who seriously miscalculated by coming for Eminem. But unlike MGK or Ja Rule, Benzino's story ends with him in tears, literally apologizing after getting obliterated by M, both on wax and in public opinion. The whole beef started back in the early 2000s, not in the streets or even on a diss track, but over a review. C. Benzino was the co-owner of The Source magazine, which at the time was considered the Bible of hip-hop. When Eminem dropped The Eminem Show in 2002, the album received 4 out of 5 mics from The Source. Now, for most rappers, that's solid praise. But M felt differently. He believed the rating wasn't just unfair, it was racially motivated. He thought The Source would never give a white rapper a perfect 5-mic score, no matter how good the album was. Eminem didn't keep those feelings to himself either. He made it clear in interviews that he had zero respect for Benzino or the publication, and refused to acknowledge them while doing press for 8 Mile. In fact, there was one moment that really kicked things into high gear. M was in Puerto Rico for a show, and Benzino showed up backstage hoping to interview him. Eminem wasn't having it, he iced him out completely.
Angie, I swear on my daughter's life, I never met this dude. I never met this man, this girl. She is obsessed with me.
Benzino wasn't just going to let that slide. He went on a press run, venting about the snub, and then followed up with a diss freestyle. But things escalated quick when Benzino dropped the track Pull Your Skirt Up, where he went straight at Eminem with some heavy insults.
Before you ever met Dre, I birthed your little career, now you owe your life to Ray, the 5 mic giver.
Not long after, he doubled down with another diss, I Don't Wanna, clearly trying to bait M into a full-on battle.
Care how much record you sold, you can't walk through the hood without the men in black, disrespect your mom.
And well, Eminem took the bait, but in the worst possible way for Benzino. Eminem clapped back with The Sauce, Invasion, and the now iconic Nail in the Coffin. M tore into every part of Benzino's image, his weak bars, his age, his fake tough guy act, and especially the fact that he was hiding behind a desk at The Source pretending to still be a rapper. One of the most quoted bars went, I would never claim to be no Ray Benzino, an 83-year-old fake Pacino. So how can he hold me over some balcony without throwing his lower back out as soon as he goes to lift me? Eminem didn't stop there. He also called out Benzino's tactics in the industry, exposing how he was begging for guest appearances and using The Source to prop up a failing career. And you put Jada on a track? That's how much you suck. The industry swear that you in the streets hustling, you sit behind a desk at The Source kissing and begging motherfuckers for guest appearances, and you can't even get the clearances because real lyricists don't even respect you or take you serious. It's not that we don't like you, we hate you, period. At that point, the entire hip-hop world was watching, and it wasn't looking good for Benzino. But Benzino wasn't ready to take the L quietly. He tried to fight back with tracks like Die Another Day, and even dropped a cringeworthy parody of Lose Yourself called Better Lose Yourself. But the real damage came when he took things way too far. In one of his responses, he threatened Eminem's life, and even mentioned Haley.
Before I put a Glock in your mother mouth, tell Haley it ain't safe no more. Daddy.
That was the final straw. The hip-hop community instantly turned on him. Radio stations stopped playing his songs, artists distanced themselves, fans dragged him, and any credibility he had left started crumbling fast. But instead of falling back, Benzino got even more desperate. Since his diss tracks weren't landing, he started using The Source as a weapon, running hit pieces and smear campaigns against Eminem. Eminem wasn't done yet. He followed up with another scathing diss track called Go to Sleep, and this time Ja Rule caught some of the heat too. And just to make things even more disrespectful, around the same time, Eminem landed the cover of XXL magazine, which was The Source's biggest rival. That move alone sparked a whole media war between the two publications. Benzino, of course, wasn't about to take the loss quietly. He came back swinging with more diss records like Fallin' Down, trying to keep the beef alive. And since Ja Rule was already locked in a heated feud with 50 Cent, Benzino figured, why not team up? The two linked up and dropped another diss track together, Untouchable, hoping their joint effort would finally crack Eminem's armor. But then came what Benzino thought would be his nuclear bomb, a track called Foolish Pride. This was an unreleased song Eminem recorded as a teenager where he used racially insensitive language. Benzino pounced on it. He didn't just leak the track, he went all out. He uploaded the audio to The Source's website, printed the full lyrics in the magazine, and tried to spin the entire narrative to make M look like a closet racist.
Well, foolish pride has a lot of things to say. You got foolish pride like you got tooth decay.
At the time, it looked like Benzino might have finally landed a serious blow. But then, Eminem owned up to it. M addressed the song publicly, explained it as a shameful mistake from his teenage years, and apologized. And the fans listened. Most saw it as a dumb move by a young, emotional kid and chose to forgive him. By then, the damage was done, but not to Eminem. It was Benzino who looked worse. The hip-hop world had already made up its mind. Eminem had completely outclassed and outlasted Benzino on every level. Years would pass, and Benzino eventually tried to make peace. He apologized publicly and admitted the beef had taken a toll on his life. But instead of letting things go completely, Eminem kept throwing little jabs here and there, just enough to remind Benzino he still hadn't forgotten. And then, in 2024, M fired off another bombshell. On his verse in Lyrical Lemonade's Doomsday 2, Eminem once again lit Benzino up. Only this time he added Benzino's daughter, Coi Leray, into the mix. The bars were brutal. What is the opposite of Benzino? A giraffe. Go at his neck. How the fuck is that? How can I go at something he doesn't have? Arms so short he can't even touch his hands, when they're above his head doing jumpin' jacks. The verse was laced with disrespect. M clowned Benzino's height, his reputation, his bank account, and even brought up long-standing rumors about Benzino being involved with another man at a Red Roof Inn. Heard you was spotted at the Red Roof Inn again. Who was dude you was spooning with? And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Eminem turned his sights on Coi Leray, rapping, "Guess that Coi Leray feet's in the toilet, aye?" At this point, Benzino finally broke. He went on Drink Champs and broke down crying, telling the world that this beef had been eating him alive for over 22 years. He admitted that the drama didn't just mess with his public image, it messed with his family, especially his relationship with Coi Leray. According to Benzino, she probably felt forced to distance herself from him because siding with Eminem was the safer, more popular move. It hurt him deeply, knowing the whole world was basically rooting against him and that his own daughter may have felt the weight of that pressure.
Got nothing against Eminem, Eminem can rap, but I care about us more. I don't want to go through, I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want, for 22 years, every time I do an interview, they ask me about Eminem. My daughter came into the industry figuring that, hey, I gotta be cool with Eminem because everybody's against my dad. You think this is cool? Nah, man.
Looking back at everything, one thing's crystal clear. You can critique Eminem's music, his flows, or even call him overrated and he might ignore it. But the second you bring up his daughter, that's a line you just don't cross. Do it and you better be ready for the smoke.